At 67, Paul Weller, the man who defined an era with the Jam, reinvented himself with the Style Council and carved out a solo career that made him one of Britain's most enduring musical figures, finally broke his silence in a way that shocked fans and critics alike. Known as the Modfather, Weller has always been a man of strong opinions, someone who never sugar-coated his views, whether about politics, music, or the state of the industry. But no one was prepared when, in a candid interview, he finally admitted that there were 3 singers he truly hated. For decades, speculation swirled about Weller's feuds and private grudges, but this moment gave the world a raw, unfiltered look at the bitterness and rivalry that shaped his career. And behind each name he mentioned lies a story of jealousy, betrayal, clashing egos, and moments that revealed the darker side of the music world. 1. Bob Geldof. The first name Weller dropped was Bob Geldof, the Boomtown Rats frontman who later became famous for organizing Live Aid. To many, Geldof was a hero, a man who used his fame to raise millions for famine relief in Ethiopia. But to Weller, Geldof represented something entirely different. A self-promoting opportunist who loved the spotlight more than the cause. Weller recalled his anger in 1985 when Live Aid brought together some of the world's biggest stars. The Jam had already split by then, but Weller was furious at how Geldof positioned himself as the savior of rock. Weller despised what he saw as Geldof's smugness and vanity, even calling him a fake preacher in a leather jacket. In private, Weller once admitted he refused to even watch Live Aid because he felt the event was more about celebrity self-promotion than genuine charity. Their paths crossed backstage at several events in the late 80s, and Weller always felt that Geldof looked down on him as if his socially conscious songs like Eatin' Rifles or Town Called Malice weren't enough. That sense of rivalry turned into outright hatred, with Weller later confessing that if Geldof entered a room, he left. 2. Freddie Mercury. The second name Weller dared to bring up was the legendary Freddie Mercury of Queen. On the surface, this shocked fans. Mercury is considered one of the greatest frontmen in rock history, adored for his voice and flamboyant charisma. But Weller revealed that he never respected Queen or Mercury, calling their music bombastic nonsense for stadium crowds. Weller, rooted in punk and mod culture, despised what he saw as Queen's pretentiousness. He once admitted he couldn't stand Mercury's theatrics, his operatic vocal style, and the sense of spectacle that defined Queen's performances. To Weller, music was about grit, honesty, and rebellion, not fireworks and operatic voices. The real breaking point came during the early 80s when Queen embraced more commercial sounds with albums like Hot Space. Weller openly mocked Mercury to fellow musicians, saying Queen was showbiz trash in rock clothing. What made things worse was an infamous night at a London club where Mercury reportedly overheard Weller dismissing him as a pantomime clown. From that moment, there was no love lost between them. Fans might see Mercury as untouchable, but for Paul Weller, he was the epitome of everything wrong with rock at the time. Flash over substance. 3. Morrissey, the third singer, Weller named, was none other than Morrissey, the former frontman of the Smiths. And here, the hatred was deeply personal. In the 1980s, the Jam and the Smiths appealed to similar audiences of disaffected youth, but the rivalry between their frontmen was bitter. Morrissey had once criticized Weller's lyrics as too blunt, lacking poetry, and Weller never forgave him. Weller, in turn, saw Morrissey as a hypocrite, someone who preached about authenticity but lived a life of contradictions. Their feud spilled into interviews, with Morrissey dismissing the Jam's legacy as teenage anthems, while Weller accused Morrissey of wallowing in misery to sell records. In the 1990s, when Morrissey made controversial political comments that drew heavy backlash, Weller was among the first to slam him publicly, saying he always knew Morrissey's views were rotten at the core. Over time, the dislike hardened into outright hatred. Weller admitted that Morrissey was one of the few people he would actively avoid at festivals or industry events. He even refused collaborations that could have boosted his own career simply because Morrissey was involved. For Weller, Morrissey wasn't just a rival, he was an enemy.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.